righty, it is officially 6:30. Thank you for your patience. We have the Pledge of Allegiance to begin with. Before we do that, with Veterans Day being yesterday, I would ask all of our veterans here, either at the table or in the audience, if you guys could please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your service. Now I would ask everyone else to please rise, and if our students accompanying us would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Just a quick recap. We had our study session before. We had a great presentation from Lunchtime Solutions, who is our lunch provider at the schools. Really impressed with the job they're doing. The number of meals eaten is up substantially month over month over month, and the feedback from their roundtable meeting was very solid, very good about what's happening. So we're really pleased with what's happening there. The other part of the study session, as we discussed our board building visits, a lot of the emphasis during that was on the quality of the fine arts presentations and the extracurricular activities that have been offered at our school. And a lot of recognition has been given out in the last couple of months, both to the Fine Arts Award that had its own presentation a couple weeks back, and to the Joy Club for their service award they got from the governor. So really pleased with the engagement activity that our students and staff have on a lot of those items. With that, we will move right on to our presentations and special recognition. I'm assuming most of you guys are here for this part. Item 4.1 tonight will be our focus on the students. It's the middle school. Mr. Hughes.
All right, we've brought some of our students here with us, and they are going to talk about trying to think of how I can best put this. They go, or actually Mrs. Carlisle and Mrs. Erickson take a group of students every year to the Jocelyn Art Museum in Omaha for a program called Celebrate Creativity. And I'm just going to turn it over to them because I know that you'd much rather hear from them than me.
Every fall, Ms. Carlisle and Ms. Erickson take 50 sixth graders to celebrate creativity at the Jocelyn Art Museum. The day-long event gives students the opportunity to take a guided tour of one of Jocelyn's art galleries and participate in creativity sessions focused on art, music, dance, martial arts, and theater before ending the day listening to a performance by the Omaha Symphony.
The Omaha Symphony and the Jocelyn Art Museum do an amazing job of providing us with a memorable experience, and we benefit from getting to participate. The following video shows examples of the things we saw, heard, and participated in. We created this iMovie, which includes part of the Omaha Symphony performance playing in the background, with pictures taken at the Jocelyn Art Museum and the Kuntz Lutheran Church.
Make sure your feet are not in the same place.
While we are in Omaha, some of us attended the session, Illuminating Colors. We learned about the power of color to impact how we feel. It can change how we feel when watching a scene in a movie or a play. The colors found in an image can impact how we feel about the work of art. The colors around us while listening to music can even determine how we feel about what we are hearing.
If you think about the color red, it can make a person feel loved.
Or it can make a person feel angry.
The color green can help the audience feel the ambition, greed, or jealousy needed for a scene.
Or it can make you feel harmony, freshness, or safety.
We realize that many times we overlook the power of colors to change how we see things. During the class, we had to sort M&Ms while under the influence of different colors. We would like you to do the same.
These are blue, right?
Blue or green. They look blue.
Well, we have a
It
greenish
looks like
filter,
we have-
so we know we're going to miss some of
It
these.
looks like we have one more blue, and some of those have got to be green, though.
Do you think the rest of those look brown to me?
No,
You want me to take a picture again so you
this
can
one,
tell what the
this
color
one,
is?
There's a few reds in
that
there.
one looked red to me. This one looks red.
Red. Red's up in that corner. And then the rest of those brown. Maybe that red and the rest of them brown.
From here I see several reds, but that might be cheating.
Rest of them all brown.
Are you looking under the screen?
Oh, no.
Probably, yes.
Arnold.
We were dumping them all on brown because they were
There you go.
brown.
Okay, now we're going to switch you, though.
Well, right. We already know we missed most of them.
Okay.
I can hold the phone.
Look how many browns they have.
Wow.
There was, I only put like 2 brown in each.
I feel like most of those are blue.
Is that dark blue? These are blue or green. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a green one right there. What colors are light here?
Red.
So I think some of them we have in here that are actually orange.
I think so too,
There are
Betty.
two different colors
Yeah.
there.
Okay, I'm gonna go. These are going orange. Oh, no, I'm not sure if I'm right. You just have to know that they all look.
You guys need to go over there.
No, but.
Or orange. That's cool.
Carlisle,
Stop cheating.
you want to do the lights?
Where did their light go? Where did your light go?
We had a cell phone light.
You got them.
Red is not red. That is maroon.
You guys got them.
We got them all.
The color you guys started with, I think, had it.
It's because
Good.
y'all have glasses. Oh, glasses make a difference? Oh,
Yeah. You got it. You need. There you go.
We're the champions.
Sophie, Nurse you guys still have to talk to
Did anyone get their groups of M&Ms sorted correctly? See, the power of color can change what you see and how you feel.
All right, before we all snack on the M&Ms, anyone questions anymore from our middle school group here? What was your guys' favorite part going to Omaha? That's for the students, not the teachers.
I don't know if this was plugged in. Got it?
great job, kids, and to you guys, great job, and thank you for taking these kids and getting them an experience like this outside the classroom. Really impressive. If I say no, are you going to anyway?
No, I have to say that I'm eternally grateful that Mrs. Erickson partnered to do this, and I say partnered, but really she probably does like 90% of it, and I do like the 10% tag along. But last year we went, and it was the first time ever where there were other schools there that I thought to myself, oh my goodness, these kids are like not being respectful, they're being awful. And our kids, she does such a great job, and they do such a great job of appreciating the day and really being amazing advocates for Norfolk Public Schools and what our students look like. During the symphony part last year, they had an expectation for people to clap, and some of the schools started like cheering and hollering and being very, very non-orchestra sort of behavior. And all of our students just were very respectful. They at one point actually like turned around and looked at this other school like, what are you doing? So it was just they are always such great kids every year. This year the same thing. I mean, everybody was amazing, but it's really fun to see how they really appreciate the day and are such great advocates for Norfolk Public Schools. So there's my brain.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4.2 tonight will be our award for excellence, Jennifer Robinson.
And Sarah Denmark and Michael Hart.
All right, tonight's award for excellence goes to Mr. Robert Beeson. And we have a couple of people who are going to speak on his behalf, and then Mr. Beeson's not able to be here tonight, so I will explain that in just a minute. But first of all, we'll discuss the award for excellence.
I was lucky enough to be here for the focus on the students, and since a couple of these bullet points I submitted, they asked me if I'd read them. So, an anonymous donor had made a donation for the purchase of some social studies items at Norfolk Junior High School. The price ended up being quite discounted after the purchase was made, and there was money left over from the gift. When I contacted the donor to see if they had an opinion about how the remaining funds were to be used, they told me, just ask Mr. Beeson. He's such a great teacher. I know he'll have great ideas for engaging students with those leftover funds. He was and probably always will be my child's favorite teacher during her time at Norfolk Public Schools. We really think a lot of him as a teacher, and we are always glad to help. As the Foundation's executive director, it makes me very proud to get to be a part of those kind of conversations and those kind of partnerships. Great quality teachers that challenge their students make my job a joy.
We should all know, young and old, for those of you that have had children in Mr. Beeson's class or that have gone through Mr. Beeson's class, his little mantra he uses, soup, bite, hop. And that means show up. For you guys coming up to the junior high, you'll get to hear this. Show up, bring your tools, and have a plan. He's always been very passionate about his teaching, and he truly enjoys sharing his enthusiasm and knowledge about citizenship, government, history, and other areas related to social studies. Mr. Beeson cares deeply about each of his students and the importance of education.
Bob really does an excellent job of helping students set and achieve high expectations for themselves and others. Bob is dependable, and he comes each day prepared and ready to learn. Mr. Beeson's lessons are engaging, thought-provoking, purposeful, and relevant to student needs. Over the years, Mr. Beeson has developed and refined a multitude of effective classroom instructional strategies, which has served his students well in the classroom. This past year, as we were in the process of creating our own district instructional model, we standardized, with his permission, Mr. Beeson's student engagement strategy, which he calls SPARK, as our district expectation for all teachers and students. This SPARK strategy is now an essential component of this model. So we want to thank Mr. Beeson. Mr. Beeson, congratulations.
All right, Mr. Beeson is not able to be here tonight, so I am reading a little thank you on his behalf at this time. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Board of Norfolk Public Schools and the entire administration team for the NPS Award for Excellence for November 2018. To be recognized in this way is a gratifying and humbling experience for me. I have had the privilege to work with many dedicated educators in my career at Norfolk Public Schools. To be singled out among many gifted colleagues is truly an honor. I thank God every day for the wonderful people I have to work with and for in this most rewarding field of education. Additionally, my family and I are forever grateful for the support that we have received for our Norfolk Public Schools family during the continuing battle with Susie's cancer. We continue to show up, bring our tools, and have a plan to defeat this foe. With sincere thanks and appreciation, Bob. So, and that is where Mr. Beeson is today. They're traveling today for Susie's treatment. So, thank you on behalf of Bob.
Bob received a plaque and a gift certificate to Black Cow Fact Pig.
I think we could say it every month, but the people in our buildings is what makes the difference, and Bob Beeson epitomizes what we look for at a junior high teacher, and working with these kids at that age and doing what's going on in his personal life and being able to step up and take care of our kids and educate our kids. We're just thankful to have teachers like Bob Beeson in our district. And with that, we will move on quickly to 4.3, which will be our Success Pin recipients, where we get an opportunity to recognize just a few more of the great people in our district.
I'm not sure how quick this will be. There are a lot of Success Pin winners this month, which is a good thing. Our October 2018 Success Pin recipients are Bethany Miller, Christina Paulson, Kelly Hansen, Diana Pentoya, Jim Beltz, Danny Mather, Chris Anderson, Ashley Brookhauser, Jolene Groninger, Andrea Clark, Linda Hunt, Jody Roberg, Gabrielle Shoemaker, Mr. John Irwin, Andrea Clark, Linda Hunt, Jody Roberg, Gabrielle Shoemaker, Mackenzie Walke, Kiara McCord, Taryn Retzlaff, Sarah Dittmer, Kelly Mitchell, Mandy Rich, Roseanne Johnson, Ms. Budell, Teresa Goodrich, Michelle Fisher, Sarah Dittmer again, Lisa Langenberg, Kelly Hansen, Dale Donner, Kathy Meisner, Trisha Nathan, Ani Strong, Sherry Ryan, Tyler Baronic, Trisha Andreessen, Diane Reisman, Barb Koenig, Mrs. Korth, Susan Bowers, Kenny Johnson, Kelly Hansen, Deanna Dolezal, Connie Wildermuth, and Melissa Hansen again. And the Cash Now winner for this month is Roxanne Johnson. She will receive the $50 compliment of U.S. Bank. Congratulations to all of our Success Pin winners, including Sarah Dittmer.
All right, that brings us to item 5, our public comments and communication. I have a thing I have to read with this, but this is also the time in the board meeting where if you want to escape, that's a really good time to sneak out the door. Josh Dittmer, on your way home, in case you didn't notice, your mother won 2 awards tonight. Be nice to her. This is the time during the meeting where the public may request to address the board. If you wish to comment, we ask that you identify yourself and the topic you wish to address. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note that the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note the concerns related to personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. Do we have any public comment? Mr. Dittmer, Josh, do you have any public comment before you leave? we have any public comment tonight. We'll move on to our information and discussion items, beginning with 6.1, the Finance and Facilities Report. Dr. Bill Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Total amount of claims to be approved in the consent agenda for the month of November by fund are as follows. The general fund, $410,155.18. The nutrition fund, $278,475.07. The cooperative fund of $11,511.37. Depreciation fund, $264,038.64. Special building fund, $42,874.59. QC Puff was $950,035.11. Bond fund was $1,871,565. Student fee fund was $6,813.19. The activity fund for the month of October was a total of $98,007.64. All the claims were reviewed earlier today by the Finance and Facility Committee.
Six point two, our teaching and learning report. Beth Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the area of curriculum instruction and assessment, we have a few items. Teachers are getting near to the finish of their science pilot of Discovery Ed program. The true verdict is not out yet. It may be fine in some grades, but not great in all, which is exactly why we perform pilots, so we don't purchase poor products for our students. The Big Red Kino grant is complete and submitted. I anticipate a positive funding of the grants this year again. We wrote the grant to mirror our prior years of experience. The Title I grant is complete. I'm sure we'll have adjustments and amendments along the way, but it is one big task off of our list. Mary Lure and I have teams attending the multi-tiered Systems of Support training days. We've completed one of the 3 total for this year. Professional Development Day, held on October 22nd, was extremely productive for teachers. I received a lot of positive comments back from them on the day and the amount of curriculum work that they were able to accomplish. And Sandy Rose attended an Infinite Campus Conference, where she learned of some other schools that have gone down the road of target-based grading using Infinite Campus. And we're trying to make connections with them. There are a lot more decisions on the backside of the grading piece than we originally realized, so we have some studying to do. And in the area of technology, a small committee has been doing some research on devices and display panels to be sure that we continue to make the best technology decisions we can for the district. And since we've had a few turnovers in positions, there's always a need for updating our knowledge. And we're scheduling a website booster shot, so to speak, for training for those who need to become up to date, be reminded, or are just new to the district. Are there any questions on those items?
Beth, could you explain a little bit more about an MTSS?
I can try. Well, okay, so if there's a lot of acronyms in education. So the beginning of MTSS was really RTI, which was response to intervention. When you track the interventions you do for students and you keep progress on them and monitor how they're doing and continue to progress them along. The multi-tiered piece of that includes more than just academic pieces. It includes behavioral pieces and helping kids make good decisions, and so just being all inclusive, kind of, besides just academics. And please, Mary, if I'm not expressing that great.
I just think it's more comprehensive.
So
it's really a more comprehensive approach to RTI that looks at the whole child and all aspects that could be influencing how they're doing at school.
And we did start that with all of the elementaries were represented in the middle school. And because we can't take that many people out of the building on one day, some of us travel for it. but it has been an amazing conversation within the buildings and then amongst the buildings, talking about what they have in common, what they do differently, and how they want to get on the same page. So it's really been quite interesting just on the one day that we spent, and it's time well used, so they can walk away with tools.
Okay, thank you.
6-3 is our student services report. Mary.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, along with other district employees, attended this Tri-State Special Education Conference in Omaha last week, November 8th and 9th. Several of the buildings had an assembly for Veterans Day, while others did class projects. I kind of sent out an email saying, tell me what you're doing. Middle school had theirs on Friday, but most of them did it today at different varying times. The junior high at like 2:30, the high school was this morning. Some of them had parents come as veterans and speak. It was very, very nice way to tribute to our veterans. November begins Thanksgiving vacation. There will be no school on Wednesday, November 21st through Friday, November 23rd, which is next week. Just so we all just kind of got a shock to our system on that one. And then the attached chart reports the attendance for fall parent-teacher conferences in our district schools. Little Panther Preschool, 100%, Bel Air, 99, Grant, 99, Jefferson, 96, Lincoln, 100%, Washington, 98%, Westside, 99.5, Woodland Park, 98.8, middle school, 83%, junior high, 65%, and senior high, 53%. Are there any questions that I can entertain? Thank you.
Human Resources and Accreditation Report. Mike Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick, our next Staff Development Day is Thursday, January 3rd, and that day will be split into two different sections. So part of the day together will be spent reviewing our district plan for enhancing our school safety protocols, and the other part of the day will be spent discussing and collaborating on the instructional model and the components. Again, high-quality staff development, as Ms. Nelson has already mentioned, is essential to increasing teacher effectiveness and maximizing student learning and engagement. On the 21st of January, we will have the collaborative ESU workshop again. That's a venture with a lot of surrounding school districts, and that's another excellent way to bring together various school districts for consistent and relevant staff development. The keynote speaker, which is the same as last year because it was canceled, is Doc Brown. He will be excellent. There is a link there if you want to see any of the sessions. It'll be a really good event again, and we really look forward to that. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Last couple things, our calendar committee just finished up meeting last week, and we'll be sending out a final recommendation to Dr. Thompson before the December board meeting. So you should be seeing that come up. And then our personnel update is listed below, and I would, excuse me, those M&Ms were getting to me. I would take any questions at this point. Thank you, Mr. President.
6-5 will be the superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our official enrollment numbers are finally available. We saw an increase of 3 students at the preschool for a total of 190 students. At the elementary level, we had an increase of 31 students, primarily at Bel Air and Woodland Park Elementary Schools, for a total of 1,626 students. At the middle school, we had an increase of 17 students for a total of 665. At the junior high, we had an increase of 26 students for a total of 641. At the senior high, we were even. We had exactly 1,324 last year and again this year. K-12 overall, we had an increase of 74, and pre-K-12, we had an increase of 77. So our total pre-K-12 enrollment was 4,446, which is the largest we've ever had as far as I can tell in history. That was nearly a 2% increase this last year. I will have more information about it at our study session in December, along with enrollment projections and maybe some staffing recommendations. We'll see if we're ready or not. We will not have a second meeting of the month this month due to the holidays. However, 4 board members, Bill Robinson and myself, will be attending the Nebraska Association of School Boards State Education Convention in Papillion, La Vista later this week. This is a great professional development and networking opportunity for board members and superintendents. And the annual meeting for the Greater Nebraska Schools Association will take place Thursday evening at 5 p.m. in conjunction with this convention. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.1 tonight, our Facilities and Finance Committee report. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Dr. Robinson indicated to you, we did review all of the bills for all of the funds for the month of October and November. You saw there on the agenda that we will be approving a bid for fertilizing for the entire school year for next year. And we hope that that will be a good thing for the district and maybe even a little bit of a money saver for us. The 403B plan that the district currently is under has been in place for 5 years. The plan calls for a review and a bid of another carrier, for that plan for next year. So that is always a topic of interest amongst the financial people within the community. So be prepared to have some discussion about that. The 25th Street project is, if you've driven by there, you notice it's basically nothing but walls standing there. Our contractor is quite concerned about receiving steel for the construction. Present company accepted. So it is kind of delaying the project, and if we don't get any steel and can't get a roof on there, it'll be a little difficult to keep moving forward. I don't know if anybody's told him when we might get some. So I do know that he ordered it once he got the bid, but apparently there's a lot of construction going on. The Coca-Cola contract that the district has is also coming up for bid, and we'll be asking permission to allow the district to proceed forward for soliciting bids for the next several years. And of course, that's of great interest to everybody, and especially the activities program, because it does provide a few bucks to help support the district. And we have, as you know, we're moving forward and improving in the air or the old heating and cooling system at Senior High School, and we're moving forward. We got the bids, or not the bids, but specifications and stuff done. That looks like that'll be a 2-year project with work done this summer and then work done next summer, and we should dramatically increase our efficiency in that area, obviously, because those things are 50-some years old. Can't help but get better. Any questions? Dr. Robinson, you care to comment on that or anything? See, Ernie, you were there too.
No, you did a nice job. And hopefully steel will be here next couple days.
Hopefully.
So is that the next step, the steel? They can't move forward?
Well, there's some other things he's doing, but we're kind of running out of other things. So he's hopeful it's going to be here this week.
Yeah, and I'm sure part of the issue is they want to get that closed in so they can work on it during the winter, which getting steel is an issue everywhere right now.
Present company accepted.
All right, item 7.2 will be our policy committee report. Dr. Goebbels.
The policy committee is not recommending any changes to the policies that are up for second reading. That's policies 1100 through 1260, community relations. We did meet on October 25th and reviewed policies 1300 through 1470. still related to community relations in order to prepare those policies for first reading. No changes are being recommended to policies 1310, fundraising and gifts, 1400, school and community organizations, 1410, parent organizations and volunteers, 1430, utilizing community resources, 1440, staff participation in community affairs, and 1450, school personnel and the public. We are recommending some slight non-substantive changes to some of the policies. These were all changes that we're recommending either to clarify the policies or just to improve and update the wording in those policies. Those policies include 1300, fundraising activities, 1420, citizens advisory committees, 1460, student production of goods and provision of services, and 1470, public performances by students. We are recommending 2 changes to policy 1320, the memorial policy. The first recommended change is to clarify that honorary diplomas are privately given to families of students who have passed away during their enrollment in Norfolk Public Schools. We wanted to make sure that it is clear in the policy that those diplomas, honorary diplomas, are not handed out at the graduation ceremony. So that was really an important clarification that we felt we needed to make. The second change to that policy enables us to allow inscriptions to be made on items rather than 8x10 plaques. It just isn't practical with some of the memorials to put a plaque that sticks out on that particular item. So we're including inscriptions just to make sure that we're making it practical for some of those things.
Next item will be our Government Relations Committee report. Tammy Day.
We have no official report except to say that we have not met and are having some trouble finding a time to meet. So we're getting ready for the legislative session, which will start in January. So doing some prep work for that. I think the election, we saw some seats that were positive change for public schools. And some that maybe weren't, so it goes. But we will get to know our new legislators, I'm sure, as we get started shortly.
7.4 is our minutes of committee reports. The minutes of the November 6, 2018 Nurses and Student Health Fund meetings are attached. With that, we will come to item 8.1, and I'm going to ask that we convene a executive session to discuss personnel as needed to protect the reputation of an individual. I would accept a motion on that.
I would make a motion to convene executive session to discuss personnel as needed to protect the reputation of the individual.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to convene an executive session. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, do we need to do a roll call? Or can we just vote electronically? We vote electronically. All right. Yeah. We have a motion and a second. The voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
We will retire to the conference room for a quick executive session. We'll be right back. We are officially reconvened from our executive session. Item 9 will be our consent agenda. Included in that are minutes of our previous board meetings, personnel, which has contract approval, Dr. Thompson, and resignations while you're at it.
Mary Lure is very excited for me to announce that we have hired a speech-language pathologist, Haley Brooks, of course with your approval, for the 1920 school year. We also have 2 resignations on the consent agenda. The first is for Dorothy Fuller, English teacher at the junior high, to be effective November 23rd. And the second is Caitlin Gilming, Title I teacher at Westside and a variety of parochial schools, effective at the end of the school year.
Also on the consent is 9.3 claims. Bill, anything additional?
No, we do have some conflict statements that will need to be read after a motion for approval is made.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion or items we wish to pull off or conflict statements that would like to be read?
Not anything to pull off, but Mary, there wasn't any information about the new speech path person? I mean, any detail? Can you tell a little bit about her?
Well, she's a Norfolk graduate. So she's coming home. She actually has always wanted to come back to Norfolk. She is in Kansas, finishing up her degree, and she'll be done in May. And we're quite excited to get her back to Norfolk. So, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion, or do we have any conflict statements as a group here?
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest, and I am abstaining from voting on claim number 546 for the month of November in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent agenda items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the item which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related thereto.
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and am abstaining from voting on claim 541 for the month of November in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the item which I have identified or any other matter set forth therein or related thereto.
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest, and I am abstaining from voting on claim number 551 and 994 for the month of November in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the items which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related thereto.
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest, and I'm abstaining from voting on claim 536 for the month of November in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the items which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related thereto.
Just for clarification, all 4 of these board members are attending the Nebraska Association of School Boards convention this week, and they are abstaining from voting on their own registration fees.
With that, the voting is open. Please vote on the consent agenda only for the items which you are voting on. Thank you.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10.1, Dr. Bill Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As discussed earlier, I'm asking permission from the board to start the process of putting out a request for proposals for our 403B plan management. Our current agreement ran through 2017. We did a year extension, so it is now time to request new proposals for up to a 5-year time period.
I make a motion to grant permission to receive proposals for 403B plan management.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10.2 will also be bill is discuss, consider, and take action to approve the proposal from Lonco for chemical and fertilizer maintenance and application. Bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The district received interest from a few individuals and did receive one official bid that met all of our specifications. That bid was from Lonco for the amount of $57,294.46. This bid is for all district property, including the property at 25th Street. The price is also guaranteed through 21.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposals from Lonco for chemical and fertilizer maintenance and application.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on 10.2?
Bill, just a question. Have we been doing this internally?
We were doing it internally up until about the last 6 months because of our lack of personnel. And then they also, with regulations, we were having a hard time getting the licensing to handle the amount of chemical and fertilizer that is required for that. So from a cost perspective, we are at least a wash, if not maybe even a little more cost effective than going another route.
With no other discussion, the voting is open. Please vote on 10.2.
Motion carried, 6-0.
10.3 is to discuss, consider, and take action to grant permission to receive proposals for the district beverage agreement. Bill.
Thank you. Been in our current agreement for the past 6 years. This is our 7th year. This is a service that it's like a professional service. We're getting proposals from people. What is the best for our district as far as providing the soft drink service that we need, and also what kind of financial arrangement we can make. So it is a process that takes a little bit of time. So I'd like to start now getting that permission. I'll work with the senior high activities department to develop some protocols that we are looking for, some specifics that we want people to speak to, and then the rest of the proposal is really up to the company about what they want to bring. We don't get real specific on that. That's where the competitive nature comes into play. So, but we got to get that process started. It usually takes about 2 to 3 months for beverage companies to compile what they feel that they want to offer, and we'll bring a recommendation forward this spring because our current agreement will end in July.
I'll make a motion to grant permission to receive proposals for the district beverage agreement.
I'll second the motion.
Bill, I just have a question. Where are the companies that would potentially provide these bids?
The last time we asked for proposals, that was actually my first year in this position, we got one from Pepsi and one from Coke. Locally, they have a presence here in Norfolk. We did get a request from Mid-Continental Bottler as well, but they did not submit a proposal at that time.
We do have a motion and a second, so if we have any further discussion or questions, now would be the time. The voting is open. Please vote on 10.3.
Motion carried, 6-0.
10-4, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the second and final reading of the following board policies. 1100, community use of school facilities. 1101, use of school facilities by student groups and Boy Scouts. 1102, recording of others. 1110, bulletin boards, display case, and posted material. 1120, tobacco policy. 1200, anti-discrimination. 1210, Title IX, discrimination. 1220, Title IX procedure for informal formal hearing. 1240, ADA and Section 504 grievance procedure. 1250, designation of coordinator, and 1260, service animals. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Dr. Goebbels indicated earlier, the Policy Committee has not recommended any changes to these policies since their first reading and are recommending that they be approved tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the second and final reading of the policies listed above.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on these items or questions? Hearing none, voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
10-5, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the first reading of the following policies. 1300, fundraising activities. 1310, gifts to school district. 1320, memorial policy. 1400, school and community organizations. 1410, parent organizations and volunteers. 1420, citizens advisory committees. 1430, utilizing community resources. 1440, staff participation in community affairs. 1450, school personnel and the public. 1460, student production of goods and the provision of services. And 1470, public performances by students. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. As Dr. Goebbels indicated, most of these policies had either no changes or small non-substantive changes. The memorial policy was the only one with any major changes, and she went over those earlier. But I would entertain any questions you might have.
Or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the policies listed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on 10-5? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
10-6 will be to discuss, consider, and take action to approve the Norfolk City Education Association as the exclusive bargaining agent for non-supervisory employees for the 2020 through 2021 school year. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. This item may seem very similar to you, as we had a very similar item last month when we acted on the letter that was sent to us from the NCEA asking us to make them the official exclusive bargaining agent for the 1920 school year. However, they usually do this a full year in advance, so they are now requesting to be approved as the exclusive bargaining agent for the 2020-2021 school year. I have no reason to believe that anyone else will make this request, so I recommend that it be approved.
I'll make a motion we approve the Norfolk City Education Association as exclusive bargaining agent for the non-supervisory employees for the 2020-2021 school year.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
All right, future meetings. Second meeting of the month is tentatively scheduled for noon on Thursday, November 29th. We will, in all likelihood, not have that meeting, but it's tentatively scheduled if you guys want to stop by.
Okay.
Right now, I'd say it might be kind of an empty room if you show up. You never know, we might get a crowd one of these times. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, December 10th, 2018. Study session 5:30, followed by business meeting at 6:30. All components of these meetings will be held here at Central Office, open to the public, unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interests of the district or the reputation of an individual. And our English teachers would call that foreshadowing. because item 12 tonight, we're going to ask for an executive session to discuss negotiations as needed to protect the interest of the district.
I'll make a motion to convene to executive session to discuss negotiations as needed to protect the interest of the district.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
We do not anticipate any action after the executive committee, so if you would like to leave, you may feel free to do so.